delay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this though.
You finally on
I do
Rockfin?
like. Yeah, I'm on Rockfin now.
Congratulations, dog. Shit.
Thank you, sir. They've been showing love, so yeah, we're live now.
Yeah,
But
they do.
Rockfin has been showing some love, so
Shout out to the
uh,
Rockfin
um,
peeps.
I've been actually surprised at how fast the growth has been over here because
No, you good at your job and they don't censor you. That's what it is.
well, yeah, I mean, you know how long I've been like pushing at this, and I'll look at these channels, and sometimes it can get a little discouraging watching, some of these other channels grow, and you're not growing. And then I start thinking about it, it's like, no,
But you're not
don't
playing
even
the
trip.
game. That's
It's
why.
because I'm talking about what I feel is issues that we need to be talked about, and I'm not just following news cycles and so
Yeah.
a little bit
We're
of
talking about drama 24/7.
oh yeah, so a little bit of a cold open and whatever. We me and the brother here, Niko, we was talking about a couple of things. It's good to catch up with them. So apologies for coming a little late. I just had to touch bases
We had to catch up,
talk
man.
to
We
him.
had to catch up.
Yeah, we had to catch up. So this is Thinking with Young Morpheus, as you like. I don't know if you noticed, I changed it out. Figured the name was too damn long before. So Thinking with Young Morpheus is a little bit better. It flows off the tongue for people. And I want to get back to doing more interviews and everything. And I figured couldn't do a better way to start off, Black History Month than a Black content creator, which is one of the ones which I felt I've kind of looked up to, getting into this whole game. One that I'm glad that I can call a friend now, that we talk, and I still find different things which he's talking about that always pique my interest. He started MCSC Network. He's just done so many different things. He's been doing the TikTok thing a lot lately, heating up over there. I mean, so without further ado, my man, Mr. Niko House, let the people know what's been going on.
What's good, man? I appreciate you. First of all, appreciate you having me on. Happy Black History Month for everybody out there. Also, let's hope one day we don't need a Black History Month. First of all, the fact that we have one is a problem. So, take that.
Believe it or not, even though I don't really vibe with him on like political stuff, but Tim Black actually was making the same point, a little bit ago. Y'all worded a little bit different, but y'all saying the same thing,
Yeah, it's actually it's funny because I was talking to my wife the other day about like, oh my God, I know Black History Month is important.
And shout out to her, by the way. Appreciate
it. Yeah. She be holding down, man. It's crazy because whenever we go out and like somebody will say something to do something, we were just talking about this other day, and if I have to hold my tongue at times, or I can't handle it how what maybe would have handled it once upon a time in my youthful days. And instead of me going off, you just hear her just going off on somebody, like, leave him the fuck alone, like like going, like, bro, she don't play. She be ready to put it in on somebody if they talk to me crazy. She's Mexican too, so and she has her own discrimination that she deals with, and I handle that accordingly whenever it's necessary too. So, but I was telling her that it's frustrating when you see stuff like. So I saw a MasterCard commercial. They said MasterCard is proud to support Wakanda forever. I'm like, what the fuck? What does that even mean? Why are you saying that? Just say you sponsor them or something like everybody else does. But no, it's Black History Month and it's Wakanda forever. And we know that Black people love Black Panther. And I'm like, bro, that's the problem. Y'all always want to treat us different. We just want consistency. We don't want to be treated differently. We don't want it to be an exclusion. We don't want it to be like, oh man, like I don't want us to have to keep celebrating being the first at something. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it. Like it's frustrating. And but the worst part is a lot of it is still necessary. And the fact that it's necessary is my problem. Like that's the issue that I have. The fact that we need a Black History Month. We do need to keep obviously discussing the Black history, but it's the fact that we get pigeonholed into a month versus it being discussed the way it's supposed to. Like the fact that Henry Ford only got his assembly line that he's famous for because a Black man put together his car, things like that. Like, why are these issues never discussed when it shouldn't be possible to talk about history without talking about Black people? That's the issue.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, and I hear all the time. A lot of people are talking about, well, it's just American history, and we're all Americans now. But when it comes to the actual history books, a lot of our inclusion, a lot of things that we brought to the table, a lot of times have to be sectioned off, and either it's not talked about. And that's the same thing. Like I talked about the other day about the CRT. Shout out to everybody in chat. I see Yipper out there and Uncle Warren, but they don't. And I want to put the disclaimer out here. We're not talking about all white people, but the powers that be who control our curriculums and things like that, they have decided that they want to do this. So we can't just ignore it because it is a pressing problem, right? So the whole, like with that whole CRT stuff, a lot of times, like I know you've seen the Bill Maher thing and you've heard the controversy. So, your thoughts on some of that while we're already talking about this education and more inclusion as far as our story and everything.
So CRT is an interesting conversation because it's actually, for some reason, it's been dominating political discussions and social discussions for like 2 years now, which is wild because CRT was invented in what, the 80s?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
But it's the old political footballs, they're not working as much anymore, right? People figured out the abortion shtick. They figured out a lot, like the gun control shtick. Like a lot of people and voters have figured this out. So they're moving the goalposts to a different topic, still controversial, and making it a topic, unfortunately, that is more easy to divide people on because, the CRT, people feel different types of ways about it because of the information that they've ingested about CRT. Originally, CRT was literally just showing you where the legal doctrine, the codes, the laws, the bills, and things like that were made that were specifically used to keep Black people from succeeding.
Yeah.
That's all CRT was. Now, what it's become in some instances is liberal white people trying to do what liberal white people always do, making Black, you can't teach a kid that he's an oppressor the moment he is born. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's because it's not true. You can put a white kid by a Black kid. That white kid is not racist. Like, until he is taught to be that. Until, the neurotypical people surrounding him tell him, in order to fit into society, you need to treat Black people like this, or else we're going to think you're with them and not us. Like, that's when that starts happening. But what I don't like is when you have the conservatives who try to weaponize CRT, basically using language that would insinuate, CRT is just saying all white people are racist, or they'll say CRT is racist inherently. And I will always ask people, I say, so what is CRT? Well, it's just teaching all white people, right? Like, well, no. I know what you saw in this PragerU video yesterday or whatever. Like, and I know what some people have, and it's crazy because it's usually white liberals who be saying crazy shit. That's the wild part.
Well, that's the crazy part. That's the crazy part right there. It's CRT was not started by white people. That's the first thing we want to put out there. But who is the people who are basically trying to take over it and implement it? White people.
Yeah, like they always do with our shit, bro. They take things that we do that are legitimate and they make it illegitimate. And then, to be completely honest, I feel like a lot of the time the powers that be do that on purpose. Because now we're having a conversation whether or not CRT is legitimate. We're not having a conversation what CRT was originally meant to discuss when it was invented. And that's what the muddying of the waters, the narrative siege, if you will, is a common theme when it comes to Black issues in general. I'll point to Kyrie Irving, another one. I'm actually a big fan of Kyrie and the way he stuck to his guns, because when everybody was saying you need to take the vaccine, what he did was, not only as a Black man, but as a player, as an executive on the Players Association board, said, no, we agreed to a deal. And that it was that we're not taking that, or at least we can't be forced to take it by our teams. And I'm going to uphold that. What did they do? They sit every single Black analyst they could at this man. And never actually said what he discussed. The reasons why. They say Kyrie's just selfish. Kyrie's just this. Kyrie, I'm like, well, hold up.
Worst teammate ever.
Association? Did y'all talk about the agreement that everybody made? Did y'all talk about the fact that Jaylen Brown made the same decision as Kyrie? No one came at him Why? Well, Jaylen Brown's not necessarily, and I love Jaylen Brown, but he's not as outspoken about his beliefs. And at the time, he wasn't an executive on that board. Kyrie, and he hadn't won his ring yet. He's not, he's not a champion. He's not Uncle Drew. It's different what Uncle Drew said. So now they're trying to hurt his. He demanded a trade because he wanted an extension. Because their whole logic and not giving him the extension the first time was because of what happened last year for the most part. Except for he was right because these players are dropping like flies. That's why he was like, we need to honor our agreement. I'm not going to put this stuff in my body. I'm not going to violate or tell people to violate their autonomy just to dribble a ball.
Well, not to mention,
they're still trying to they're trying to hurt his bag now.
Yeah.
Why? Because he was right about
he wants to think for himself.
And exactly. And we have white quarterbacks in the NFL that didn't want to get the jab, and no one talked about it. And it was. Bro, to this day, I don't believe Tom Brady got it. I refuse to believe that Tom Brady, who is a master of his body, that boy don't put nothing in his body he don't want to. I get, and the NFL not gonna say anything about it.
There's a couple others that I don't believe took it either, but it's, and I know what it is, because in our community you had a large number, especially black males, who did not want to take it. Period.
Yeah, of course.
And so you got to get all the so-called leaders, and we know in this day and age, the Al Sharptons, the Ben Crumps, none of these people are our leaders. They look at our leaders as,
sorry about that guy, but go ahead.
Yeah, they look at our leaders as the people who are able to influence, the Jay-Z's, the Nas, the Kyrie Irvings, the Deion Sanders. They look at these people who are in pop culture, black pop culture people, as our leaders. And so they put the pressure on them to in turn put the pressure on us.
Yep. And they use them as examples. This is what will happen if you don't do what we tell you to. Basically, is what it is. And what I love though, and what I can appreciate is how a lot of NBA, when they try to turn other NBA players against Kyrie, it didn't work. And so a lot of that stuff they had to let die. Because they remember when they tried to get LeBron to throw Kyrie under the bus? And I honestly, bro, we all know LeBron. I was kind of expecting him to do it.
Yeah, and he was like, he did the I'm gonna give you a little bit, but that's as far as I'll go. And then he was what I could tell. LeBron was like,
he was getting pissed.
He was like getting pissed, and so the moment he could snap back, that's what he did.
Yeah, that's exactly. And and remember they tried to get him to say to support to support it from the jump, and he's like, bro, I'm not about to tell people what to put in their bodies. Don't ask me to. He straight up said that, and that also once again aligns with the doctrine of the Players Association. That's the agreement that they put together, and basically they just said, "Screw the Players Association. We're gonna do what we want to." The NBA basically tried to defer to the city, and everybody's like, "Well, if the city says it," I said, "I don't want to hear that shit." Whenever you got these owners influence the city laws all the time, bruh.
Yep.
And when you are part of an organization where you're an NBA, a Milwaukee team or one of those type OKC or whatever, where they don't make money in your city unless you're going off, then you have that kind of power. You are, between the Brooklyn Nets and the New York Knicks, you can't tell me if both of y'all, the ownership groups there, couldn't have come together and said, we're honoring our Players Association. And if y'all don't want to, well, Madison Square Garden, I'll shut the whole thing down. I'll shut the whole thing down if y'all don't honor this agreement, because I don't want my players to think that I am not on their side. And if you're going to operate, because the next time they do negotiations, guess what's going to come up? They keep talking about players not wanting to play every game. Guess what you think the players are about to bring up? Then we just do an agreement that y'all didn't honor, but y'all want to put something else together to hurt our money. Because after y'all wouldn't honor an agreement, which ultimately hurt our money anyway.
Yep.
They have the influence. They chose not to exercise it because of cultural, social, and to be frank, political pressure. And now we're looking back like, bro, they're dying, bro. I've never seen anything like this, and I feel like there's so many people who are pretending like this is normal.
Well, what I've been hearing pushed is that no, this has been going on. What it is since you guys have seen high-profile people dropping. That it's just that you guys are, it's kind of like that whole theory they push, like, well, if you buy a red card, now all you see are red cars everywhere. No, that's not what it is. We can look at the numbers and tell the numbers have increased.
Yeah, for sure. And bro, like you're talking about high profile. Like, nah, them Olympic athletes that were passing away that y'all pay no attention to were not high profile, clearly. But there was
Yeah,
a kid from Texas.
yeah.
There's a kid from Texas who ran the Olympics and he died because they remember everybody it was a whole
Mhm.
controversy. They were forced to take the vaccine before they competed. Came back about 2-3 days later, died. Another cyclist from another country died. But in this country at least, bro, they barely covered an Olympic athlete and a former U.S. champion in track and field passing away.
Yeah.
And they tried to say that it was suicide or some shit like that. And the family refused to co-sign that, but they pushed the narrative anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And the family was refusing to co-sign it. And I'm like, bro, this is not. How are people not seeing this? Like, this is insanity, bro. But it goes back to well, we know we got to get the rappers, we got to get the athletes because it goes back to what we were talking about. They don't want to really admit, yeah, y'all want to do Black History Month once a year, but like y'all can't do shit without our influence. Can't do it.
Yeah.
If Black people don't think it's cool, it's not going anywhere. Black people had to think Bad Bunny was cool before y'all had y'all first Latin rapper blow up. To everybody, like everybody know like a Daddy Yankee. Some people know Don Omar. Everybody, my nephew be listening to Bad Bunny in his damn room while he cleaning up. Why? Because at some point, Bad Bunny was smart and he started doing music with who? People like Nicki Minaj, Drake, and other influencers in Black music. He didn't go pick up Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't pick up Justin Bieber.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then even if you look at before the collabos, you listen to the style of music that he was doing different than reggaeton. It was reggaeton trap. So that connected with the hood. And so you listen to a lot of his beats. It was definitely far more urban. But of course, you know what I'm talking about now.
What's crazy is he got his style from like the Black and Mestizo Venezuelan trap rappers and Black and Mestizo Colombian trap rappers. And then he brought it and he kind of did like what Drake did. It was like, I'm gonna make it more relatable to women. And then he started blowing up, like basically with the same flow, same style, same beat choices, but just like women could vibe with it. And that was the difference. But at the end of the day, I didn't know that meant who he was until Crippy Kush came out. And that was because,
with Farruko.
Yeah, him, Farruko, Nicki Minaj, and Offset. Was it Offset?
Yes, it was Offset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was Offset,
but, yeah, and like then he did that joint with Cardi, and obviously Cardi's Latina, but like she was everybody associates her with being Black, like because of her Black influence. That's why she's so famous. And I remember when she spoke Spanish, everybody was like, "Oh shit, hold up, she's Hispanic." Like, yeah, but she speaks fluent Spanish. Actually, she speaks Spanish beautifully. Actually, you wouldn't know that because she's like, yeah, but if I start saying that, y'all look at me as lesser. Why? Because like, y'all see me as less Black all of a sudden.
And I just want to put this disclaimer out there also. I was listening to Bad Bunny way before all this, everybody.
Yeah,
so Bad Bunny, I was
crazy
because you remember I was in Florida at that time. I was going back and forth from Florida and Puerto Rico, and so I was listening to a lot of these people who exactly.
Yeah,
when they were first coming up, I was listening to the Farrucos more. I was listening to Anuel. I was listening to I was listening. You see what I'm saying? I was listening to all of these cats. I'm forgetting my boy. Why come I can't think of him right now? But he's kind of dropped. No.
Jay Cortez.
Damn. No, no. Damn. Well,
Daddy Yankee.
No, he was on the song with him. Not Soy Peor. What was the song before? It was literally Bad Bunny's like first song that he Arcangel. That's
oh man, that's way
you see what I'm saying? So I go deep into reggaeton, and so a lot of people don't know about Calle 13. They don't know about Residente.
But like, and when you talking about reggaeton, even with that, right? Like y'all know who Bad Bunny is because like Bad Bunny. To be frank, he's like a white Puerto Rican, right? Like most of the Puerto Ricans that come out outside, like that's what makes like Don Omar, even though he's Dominican, but like the same concept. Don Omar, Romeo,
he's Puerto Rican.
I thought Don Omar is Dominican.
No, he's from Carolina.
Oh, for real? I know that.
Yeah,
maybe he's half Dominican. Everybody half Puerto Rican, half Dominican.
Well, Ozuna is half Dominican.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, he's half Dominican. Romeo. Like when you have those
he's straight Dominican. Well, actually, no.
Yeah, I think he's straight Dominican.
Yeah,
he was in Fast. Remember, he was in like Fast. What's Fast 5, Fast 6, one of the two.
Well, there's been so many. Fast. I think 7.
Yeah, maybe it was 7. I lost track of the Fast and Furious a long time ago.
I
But
can't
like
keep
when
up
they
with the
blow
numbers.
up, it's actually a big deal, specifically because they're black. Like Romeo blowing up as a bachata singer, like that would be like in today's world, like a dark R&B, like Kelly from Destiny's Child blowing up instead of Beyonce. But that's what happened with Romeo and Aventura. And
Yeah.
but it's what's crazy is when they do blow up, they blow the fuck up. Like it's like,
Yeah.
man, we cannot do what this dude does. His swag is different, the way he sings, the way he talks, the way he acts, because it's usually you got several different influences that play a part. And it's like you can't emulate it and you can't really simulate it whenever a person who does it comes into the forefront, whether it be music, whether it be acting, whether it be sports. And I remember when I used to do debate, bro, I had bro, it was crazy. I like started out, I was good. I was okay. I didn't know anything about politics, but I knew how to speak. And I just kept honing my skills. And it got to the point where basically I was like untouchable. Like, to the point where debate teams and coaches from other schools were plotting against me to kick me out of debate because I didn't realize at the time, because I was like a naive boy from the hood. I didn't know how much influence that shit had on your future, your scholarship. People trying to get to Harvard and going to nationals and competing at a high level is what gets you there. That Oprah was in forensics, Ted Cruz was in these are the elites that come from the same organization. I didn't care about any of that. I just care about whipping whose ass was ever in front of me. But
yeah,
they plotted to get me kicked out because they literally said that black boy is not about to be the best debater in the country. Straight up. And my debate coach left the whole forensics league and left the school because he found out 2 of my teachers were also racist. And it was a whole conspiracy. And they stressed said, well, what are we? Somebody said, what are we supposed to do? Like, he's too charismatic. We can't talk like him. We can't do this like him. Because I had to figure out everything that they learned, because that's like what's required of black people in America. But also, I still have my experiences. I still have the things that brought me success up to that point. And you have to go through it to get to that. You can't be white and I say, I'm gonna act like Niko now. And it's an advantage. It is like it comes from, unfortunately, being like kind of having to finesse the world that we live in as black people and having to learn, I can't do this yet, but I have to rely on what I have. I have my charisma. I have the way I dress. Though I have my unique hair. I have my unique skin tone and hair texture. You have to use these different advantages. And once you figure out how to make the puzzle pieces fall in place, bro, you damn near become unstoppable. It's true. So that's why you see people.
Well, it comes from the struggle. If you're able to start off from a struggle, then once you can get past that initial struggle, and that's what hangs up some of our people. They don't make it through that initial struggle.
Yes.
But if you can make it through the initial struggle, then you can actually do something.
But now you know why they don't allow you. The powers that be put a considerable amount of effort to prevent you from getting past that initial struggle. That is the discussion that's never had. And they always say, I saw this dude, it's a black dude. I wish I could remember his name on Twitter, bro, but he posted some shit. And I was kind of questioning, like, why did he said, white people, what has your privilege gotten you? And I thought he was being sarcastic, but he was actually being serious and asking them, and he put privilege in quotes. And of course, I know because all the white people were like, oh, I was impoverished. I grew up in a single family home, and I didn't have money. I was poor. I didn't have money. I said, that's crazy, bro. Y'all don't understand how privilege works. It isn't just about what you get. It's about what you don't have to deal with. And it's a privilege to have your life only ever be affected by money. That I would fucking, bro, if that was the only problem I had in my life, I'd be happy. I would be.
Well, happy. Well, and I did a couple of polls, and it doesn't surprise me that the polls didn't get a lot of movement. But I asked the question. I said, to black people in America, if there was a place where you could go, someplace, someplace in West Africa, and it was going to be just set up straight for black people, you're going to be able to basically transfer everything over that you have here. Basically, your quality of living is not going to change. You'll go right over, place, money, job, everything, and start off scratch. How many black people in 2023 would leave? How many? And not only that, the government says, you know what? We're going to put down the money for you guys. We didn't give you reparations. We're not going to give you the 40 acres and the mule. We're not going to give you any of that stuff. But hey, we will set up a place in West Africa. You guys can all go back to that. Mm-hmm. And how many would, first part of the question, how many would take that? Well, would you go or not? And then the second part is, what would happen to America if majority of Black people did that?
So I'm going to tell you what. You know what? I would tell you I wouldn't do it. You know why? Because of the second question you just asked. What would happen to America if majority of Blacks do that? No, they're going to come and bomb the shell out that place. What you mean? The shell out that place. People ask me, well, I tell people, I said, I would love to live in Ghana. If Ghana ever became too prosperous, it would get destroyed. People, when Nigeria began to climb, we began interfering in their government again. Speaking of sports, people don't even know the reason that like Elijah ended up coming over here, or better yet, or why Giannis had to go to Greece to begin with. Part of the reason I think that they don't promote him to the degree that they should is because to know his story is to know the story of U.S. imperialism. His dad was a professional soccer player for Nigeria, bruh. He had to leave because the U.S. was overthrowing their government. And that's why they had to go to Greece, bro. If you watch the movie on Disney, it shows a bunch of Nigerians, and they were traveling with this group of hundreds to get to Greece, which is why Greece had that whole like xenophobic thing with Nigerians to begin with. Because of what the U.S. did, Giannis ended up in Greece, and ironically, it came full circle because he ends up back in the U.S. and dominating anyway. So like, but that's why part of the reason why I feel like they'll never really put an eye on Giannis, kind of similar how they downplay Akeem Olajuwon, like he isn't one of the top 10 players who have ever lived. Like they don't. If you're part of the African diaspora, that's a direct result of U.S. imperialism, they don't like you. They'll talk about Embiid because Embiid isn't a victim of U.S. imperialism, nor does he care. Like he came from money. He came from like oil money or some shit like that. But
I didn't know that.
Elijah, a lot of the African players that came from, they weren't, especially if you're talking about like the ones that are part of diaspora, they don't ever get the love that they deserve, because if they get a mic and they choose to use it, that is a problem. If Giannis ever really learns what happened, he's not the type of person, especially because you can kind of tell he's on the spectrum. Like he's not the kind of person that's going to keep his mouth closed about it. Yeah, he will tell you. Like that's just the type of person he is, and that's bad for business because that's the influence we have.
Now, and I'm throwing a shout out, of course, to my boy Cy Lawson out there, Political Matrix. Glad that you're in here. Shout out to Lucky also. So now that you said that, now I got to ask you another question. Because let's take this, let's peel back a couple more layers of this onion. Now, a lot of people focus on, especially like ADOS, for instance, they focus on, the struggles which, us of the diaspora specifically in the United States. I don't limit it to that, but I look at what is is it just a problem? Because I know the answer to this, but is it just a problem that us in Americas deal with as far as dealing with racial issues and a structural racist system? Or if we went to another country, would we be alleviated from this problem?
Wow, man, it's actually kind of a difficult question to ask. So like when you say the Americas, do you mean like all of the Americas?
I'm talking about all of the Americas.
Okay, so weirdly enough, being part of the diaspora, like for example, like if I'm part of the diaspora in the States, the struggle and the experiences I have in the States are actually not going to be the same for like for people who know I live in Rio now, and I'm kind of treated like some kind of demigod because I'm a Black man from America, and being Caribbean, it's even more so when they find out. And I was kind of confused by it, but it's because in Brazil, for example, they're not really shy about acknowledging the influence of Black people on pop culture in general, and specifically in their culture. Like they don't get the extra that comes with the music that they, because back in the day before the internet, Brazil, like most countries in Central South America, are 5 to 10 years behind on music. So if you ask a lot of them who they listen to, they'll tell you they still listen to like Nas and Jay-Z. Some people listen to Rakim still. Like it's crazy the stuff that people listen to out there, like old New York rap. And their, I would say probably their best and most well-known artist, Seu Jorge, is dark-skinned Black man. And they not, if you're Brazilian and like a Negrinho in Brazil, you already get a certain kind of love. You get a certain kind of respect. And if you're successful, Negrinho in Brazil, it's taken to a different level. But when they see you come from the States and they know everything you've been through, because they do know about racism, obviously. They do know about colorism more than
well, and I was gonna say, hold that thought. I want you to throw this in there. So because people don't realize the difference, I would say like the demographic difference between the United States as far as like the black population and the black population in Brazil.
Oh man, the black population in Brazil. So Brazil has the most Africans in the world next to Nigeria. Like literally, that is a fact. Which is crazy to think about. But like now, you know, part of the reason why America's always trying to influence the outcome of their politics and their elections and their economy. They have the influence already. They have the agriculture. They have everything. Actually, Brazil would crush the U.S. They would crush the U.S. in every aspect. That's why you keep seeing the U.S. try to prop up Bolsonaro's, because they knew the white Brazilians who don't even. Bolsonaro and his cabinet don't even look like they're from Brazil. They damn sure.
Oh, I know.
Like, but they need to have those influences there, because if Brazil ever reaches potential, why does the world need the U.S.? China don't need, especially because they're allied with Brazil. They don't need the U.S. anymore. Russia don't got to play nice with the U.S. anymore. India don't got to play nice with the U.S. anymore. And any country allied with all of them.
You talking about BRICS?
Yeah, BRICS, exactly. So, and you got Lula talking about, even though it was kind of stupid, I wish he didn't announce it, but Lula talking about creating a Latin American dollar, and he knows that the buying and spending power. And if Brazil ever begins to like welcome black people and the diaspora with open arms to the degree that they have to, it's a problem. Black people are looking for somewhere else to go. I'm pretty sure Marcus will agree with that. Like black people are tired of the U.S., bro. We're exhausted.
Tired of the U.S.
We're exhausted. People in Europe, the diaspora, the Caribbean diaspora, tired of it.
Especially like in the U.K. It's real bad in the U.K. and in France. And I wanted to, because I sit here and now the view you got now, which I'm like, he escaped, yes. But a lot of people, they sit there and they do this kind of, well, you have either conservatives like, well, there's no problem. Let's just get past everything. We don't get why you're complaining. And I asked people, I said, so you have to explain this question. If there is this gap, this econ gap between blacks, I'll say black and brown versus the overall major white population. If there's this income gap, then where does it come from? Is there no structural racism, or are you saying that just all black and brown people are inherently inferior? That's why they're so far under this gap, and that's why this gap keeps increasing.
Which is crazy, because black women, I believe, have the highest like GPA averages at universities, like by far. It's not even close.
Yeah, but then you look at those salaries, and it's not.
And you look at the salaries, equal. Like, hold up. Yeah, it's square the circle for me, bro. Like, what? How can that possibly, bro? My mother, who didn't even go to college, one of the most intelligent people I've ever met, ended up the president of acquisitions for like this company called My Eye Doctor. And whenever I was a kid, she started as a maid at the innkeeper, and she was so good that they did all these interviews with all these MBAs, and they're like, okay, I know we did all these interviews, and technically the job says you need to have an MBA to do this job, but Serena is just too good. Her numbers are too good. Her logic is too good. Her presentation is too good. And that's without even any college education. That's just, I learned from my struggles, and I learned, I listened. I was humble. I paid attention. And she went through her struggle before she arrived where she's at. And that's without the college education. So imagine, bro, like nobody, I've rarely met, I can't say I've met like more dumb people that I've met, like more dumb black people than more dumb white people. On average, the white people I meet are dumb. I ain't gonna cap, y'all. Like they're not, and it's you can blame it on education systems, but it's a lot of it's willful ignorance. They're okay with being ignorant because they don't have to deal with the contradictions in their character, what they claim their character is, versus the complacency that they display when it comes to issues of race, discrimination, et cetera, et cetera. Because if I say I'm all for equity, I prefer opportunity, or the favorite one for all you capitalists out there, I love competition. And that's what capitalism in the U.S. is about. So why is the U.S. spending an inordinate amount of time, energy, effort, and money making sure to crush competition everywhere they go? That's their whole thing. Why do you see the competition being crushed here
unfairly crushed?
Exactly. But if we break the rules to get an advantage, then we're a problem. Then we're just not we're not fair. We're just trying to get the advantage. So it's like, but when they do it, it's called, well, you know, that's just how it's cost doing business. This is how businesses go. That's just how, you know, you got to do what you got. I'm like, hold up. That's what I tell people all the time, bro. I'm like, yo, don't play by the rules. Just don't get caught. That's what I tell people. I say, don't get caught. Because if you're going to play by the rules, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
You're going to
You're
lose.
playing in a rigged system.
You're a minority.
Yeah. You're playing in a rigged system.
You're playing a rig. They're telling you, hey, you got, I know you got a cast on your leg, but I need you to go run in this 100-meter dash. And if you don't win, that's just your fault, bro. But by the way, you're gonna have to pay for your trip there. You have to pay for your own stay, your own room and board. And actually, you have to pay us to compete. But that's what they do. And then when they get the gold medal, the white people get the gold medal, they're like, yeah, bro, look at how fucking fast I am. Look at how fast. Bro, that black dude couldn't even keep up. You saw him limping across that finish line. That's what they do. But then whenever we are successful, and I could speak from, you know, just my personal experiences in independent media, right? The thing I dealt with that drained me emotionally and mentally more than anything else was all the people that supposedly agreed with me, and even, dare I say, liked me whenever I wasn't a threat, whenever they thought, because they had, you know, there's a social contract, in case y'all haven't figured it out yet, of we're okay with that black person, that black guy, that black woman, if they're boosting us up, because we need that, because they make us look like we're not racist, or at least they at least make us look like we don't have implicit racial bias. But the moment that they started seeing me, like, hold on, why you got a picture of Bernie Sanders in a private meeting? They started seeing a picture. Oh, why are him and Tosi friends? Like, they see me with Congress people, or they see consultants asking me questions, and I'm getting all these interviews or going on TV or whatever. They're like, hold up. He actually knows everything too. Like, having actual experience in politics, that I became a problem. It was people will still agree with me on 98% of issues, but then it became for some reason I just don't trust that guy. I just don't trust him. Why don't you trust him? Well, he had a conservative friend. Meanwhile, you got the same motherfuckers doing whole podcasts with conservatives or neocons.
Yeah. And
getting congratulated on being so open-minded. That's the type of stuff that I've dealt with since 2016. And the more success that I got, the more you saw people try to black me out. No pun intended. But like, I kind of was confused at first, bro. I was like, it can't be because they're racist, right? Because that would be weird. Because we supposedly agree on these are leftists. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then I'm like, oh shit. I mean, maybe they're not racist per se, but they are fully aware of what, if I'm everybody else, for example, in a lot of the left, well, I don't know if y'all still call them the leftist best crew, the neo progressive, whatever you want to call them. Like, they were telling people to jump on board with Joe Biden. So what if, like, at the time, the most well-known black guy in independent media is like, fuck that, I'm not voting for him. He's not better for black people. Where y'all get that from? And now they gotta be like, they gotta figure, hey guys, y'all white people said that Joe Biden's better for black people. That black guy who's a leftist too says otherwise, and he has some pretty convincing points, and he's also black. So there's that part. Yeah, well, he's a neo-Nazi, actually. That's what he is. Oh, wow, well, I can't listen to him then. Even though everything he said was right, and I just said that. But you said he's a neo-Nazi, and you're the white guy, and you're the authority, so I gotta believe you. Like, that's what you would see happen, or people would.
I guess that makes sense, because they called me a Proud Boy.
Yeah, that's what bro. They'll call you everything under the. Somebody tried to say that Fiorella wasn't really Hispanic once.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, bro, Jackson Hinkle tried to go on to Jimmy Dore's show and basically claim a bunch of stuff about the election that happened in Colombia, right? Fiorella and Pasta were in Colombia during the elections, and Fiorella is Hispanic and speaks fluent Spanish, and is doing all these interviews and having all these conversations in Spanish, and yet goes on to pretend as if, and once again, Jackson went on to pretend as if Fiorella doesn't know what she's talking about. It's, of course, too many people believed him. Like, she wasn't there. It's like, yeah, well, I know she's Hispanic and she was in the country when all this went down, like actually invited by a delegation, by the way, because she's good at her job. She's great at her job, one of the best to do it. But like, you're a white guy, and at least in the United States, we're told that until otherwise proven, you're right. And all the other times you were wrong, we ignore. But if Fiorella or myself or you, if we're wrong once, like in a matter of factly sort of way, if we slip up one time, that's it. That's hung over our head forever.
Yeah, we're no longer credible.
Yeah. If we get it right 100% of the time, which I might say I'm still batting 1,000. Funny enough, Elizabeth Lee Beck, Jared's wife that was part of the DNC fraud lawsuit, she sent me a video literally today from 2016 of me telling people my logic as to why I would never blindly take vaccines without at least questioning the efficacy and the reason as to why that's the one drug the FDA is trying to claim and science is trying to claim is you got it 100% right the first time we got it, which has never happened in science history or medicinal history for that matter. And I said this in 2016, which means I was, way ahead of the game in that regard. Now, there's probably somebody else. There was people who came way late to the party. They were like, after they already took 2 or 3 of the vaccines, and then they saw 2 or 3 of their friends pass away or suffer from myocarditis. Then the public opinion started to shift. Then they finally hopped on that train, and it was, oh my God, you guys always get it right. You're always ahead of the game. It's like, well, no, actually, we've been saying this, and y'all actually attacked us for saying it. A lot of y'all attacked us. It's you don't get in when you're black and you're in this line of work that we do, or really in the public eye in general. Probably different dynamic. You get punished more for being correct, and you will get punished even more for being correct before everybody else is, because now you're building up that credibility that challenges the credibility of your white counterparts, and that's money for them. They build up these audiences by establishing a level of trust that on any given issue, they're going to be right. Because the audience wants to know that, hey, Americans love shortcuts. I want to know I can go to this person and that I'm going to get the right answer, or at least ask the right questions. And they know that. These people know that in media. So if I am right all the time, and then we get into an issue like a vaccine, like voting for Joe Biden, like supporting even like an AOC or something like that, and you have a black person or a black Latino or brown Latino directly challenging the status quo on that issue, and you're on the same side of the political fence, now it's, hold up, well, why did this person say this and you're a black person and this issue is about y'all? Why are you saying something different? Ask them. I'm saying something different because I'm right, because I have the experiences, because my friends and my family have to deal with this all the time, because I care about this particular issue. Like when it comes to, for example, police brutality, because I've experienced personally police brutality. I've experienced it.
It's funny. It's funny you say that, because I was like, I got to put that in there, and we got to talk about that, because a lot of white people, especially white leftists, they'll say, well, I'm not racist, or I don't have a part in it. Okay, but according to census, which I think this is off, roughly 70% of the country is white. So even if you don't have anything to do with it, that's still a lot more white people that we have an opportunity to run into and deal with racism from.
They don't understand.
Yeah, I said that you can take the 13% of black people in this country, and then you could even go into the brown community also. Even if you don't do the racism, it does not mean that we're not facing racism from somebody always. All of us can go through the stories.
They don't.
Every single one of us can go through the stories that we've all dealt with, either a police, on a job, whatever. I had a contractor we were working for when I was working at Lowe's years back, and he was like, if you feel like anything is racist going on, know for a fact that it is. I know your bosses. All of them are racist. They might not tell you that, but all of them are racist.
They might not even show you that 95% of the time until it matters.
Yeah. Well, what you find out is you be just like when I noticed it was this kid. He was 18. I've been working all these different positions in there. I was over delivery at the time. This kid is making more money than me. 18 years old, no experience. I got college. I got former military. I done worked 4 different departments. And you're paying this kid fresh out of high school more money than me.
That's nuts. I lost my shit. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. But that is literally that, and it looks like that. People think that if you're not walking around being called the N-word 24/7, then there's no such thing as racism. But like I said, I always tell people, I truly believe that the majority of white people are not racist. I believe that. The problem is y'all don't understand what it looks like, and therefore you think it is not as big of a deal,
racist.
huh?
I'll say consciously racist.
Yeah, at least they might have implicit racial bias. I'll say I would say the majority actually do have that because, like, that's just because of this. Once again,
that's
it's a social contract of society that will. It's like I don't have a problem with black people, but this person does, and this person controls my paycheck. This person controls my opportunity. Shit. Well, I ain't gonna do anything,
so I can't
but I ain't gonna
that
say
loan.
Right. And also you have the reality, right, that this is, at least in this country, they're told this is the land of opportunity and they believe it and eat it up. They're told it's fair competition, they believe it and eat it up. But if you were told that you failed whenever this group of people was being held back, and some of them, a lot of them still became successful, well, you got to eat that. You got to take that on the chin. That means that means you actually had opportunity that other people didn't have. You might have been given a job that this black person was passed up on, and yet you still broke and poor like us. Why is that? You didn't get held back by redlining. You did not walk into an interview. They saw you, and your name was Jonathan Smith. They thought you were white until they saw you. Then they found you were black, and all of a sudden you went from the third interview to not getting a call back with no reason whatsoever. I had a job offer in 2016 for $115,000 plus bonus commission. Got to the third interview. The boss was in the office. I didn't realize until I got in that everybody in the office was white, right? It's a nonprofit. And I killed the last interview. They had make you take like this test not to test your IQ, but kind of like to test where you're at mentally. Kill that. I get an email from the person who set up the interview, the recruiter, saying, "I'm so sorry. They want to move on. Like, I'm so sorry about this. I don't know what this." I'm like, what is it? I mean, if I didn't get the job, that's fine. I mean, I've never not gotten a job that I interviewed for before. But like, I was kind of confused as to why she was so apologetic about it. And then it kind of everything clicked. Like, that office was all white people. That boss is white. Even the lady who interviewed me was also white. But she was, bro, because everybody who interviewed me was like, yo, what the hell? I wish we would have found you sooner. And even the last interview, it was like, you got the job. Basically, you're going to be waiting for a phone call. But then the boss saw me, and it was like that. And I'm sure somebody else got that job, probably didn't do as good of a job as I did. But it wasn't at that point. It was now became about filling the position because we just kicked this black person out, and they're going to get that salary, and they're going to be able to take care of their family, and they're not going to be as good at it as I was, and or would have been. And that, but if they fail, they don't even realize. Man, they can blame the job. They can blame. I'm like, bro, what you don't realize, you should never got the opportunity to begin with. You got the opportunity, and you still failed, and somehow I still came up. And that's on you because you went into that job interview not having to worry about being held back by anything except for your competence in that job. That must be nice because if you're a black person, hell, if you're a woman, if you're a Latino in the wrong city or wrong state, like all of those things you don't realize puts you at a deficit the moment you go into any corporate situation, any media situation, any public speaking engagement. Bro, black people get complimented way too often on being articulate. What the hell? Why do y'all think that there are more inarticulate black people than inarticulate white people? If you go to the profession, just literally, mathematically, more inarticulate white people. You ever been to a state in the South? Almost nobody speaks well until you go to the city and you start getting in more professional environments. And in more professional environments, everybody speaks well. It is not unique to one race or the other. That is a level of education. That is the type of job you have, et cetera, et cetera. But they always, I remember I had to represent myself in court one time, and literally somebody said, "Wow, he's a really articulate young man." I'm like, why is that a surprise? My brother's articulate. He didn't do debate. He didn't even go to college. My brother's extremely articulate. He gives presentations to admirals, right? Like, because he was around it. That's all it took. There's nothing, doesn't make you smarter or less smart. It just means you were around it. And yet you would be convinced that the average black person is stupid because they get so impressed when we're just not stupid. It's ridiculous, bro.
Or I remember having this conversation with Savvy, and it was like, you're already expected that this other person knows. And so when we have to say something, we have to present all our I's have to be dotted, all our T's have to be crossed. Whereas
and
we
then
watch
some.
plenty of people who don't know. To say it nicely, these people don't know they asked from a hole in the ground, and they're some of the first people that people are bringing on to talk to.
Bruh. Hey, listen, we can go to the NFL. Shout out to Jalen Hurts and Pat Mahomes, first Super Bowl with 2 black quarterbacks.
Yes, sir.
And mind you, it just was 2 years ago. Well, actually this year too, but I think it was just 2 years ago that there was a record that was broken for black starting quarterbacks in the league. It took 2 years, and you got 2 black quarterbacks in that Super Bowl.
But why you talking about
and
that?
by the way, both of them were the 2 top MVP candidates.
Yep.
Wasn't
And why
even
you
close.
talking about that? But all of a sudden, the head coaches went backwards.
Yeah. Funny enough, right? The head coaches went backwards, and then they're trying to punish like Eric Bieniemy and these guys for the Bucks, who they were just uplifting and celebrating a couple of years ago when they won a Super Bowl. It's saying that the failures of the Bucks are actually on their shoulders. Like, hold up, didn't y'all lose half your players and the rest of them were injured if they weren't there or old and aged out? Like, y'all didn't really draft that well. Y'all didn't. The best center for the team was down. Then they lost their backup center, like, which obviously is extremely important if you don't know football. Like, what did y'all expect to happen when that happened? Oh, it must be his first head coaching year, like at least for the Bucks. It must be his fault. It has to be his fault.
Yeah.
Even though Bruce Arians, people forget, what was Bruce Arians' record before Tom Brady got there?
Ooh.
But not just when Tom Brady got there, but before Antonio Brown got there, Rob Gronkowski got there.
They let him go like a good 4 or 5 years just in the toilets.
Couldn't coach your boy Jameis, even though
I think what was it, the best year he had was like a 6 win season. He was typically around like 4 or 5 wins a season
because he had this what do you call it, no risk it, no biscuit style of offense that actually ended up turning Jameis into this turnover machine. And it's like, yeah, guess what? And Tom Brady was a turnover machine in that style of offense too. But yet Jameis was held higher. He was held to a different standard.
Oh yeah.
And of course, you're not going to turn over your keys to a young guy who hadn't proven in the league yet. That's not what I'm saying. But like the difference between Jameis and Tom in that particular situation with Arians was Tom Brady could tell Bruce Arians, shut the fuck up and get out of my way. And they went to the Super Bowl and won. That's what happened. Jameis, on the other hand, had his career his image permanently damaged because of Arians' style of offense. People look at Lamar Jackson, which is insane to me, and keep saying shit like he's not really a passer, except for he's one of the. It was literally him and at the time Mahomes were the 2 most efficient passers in the league for like 2-3 years straight. It's wild when you would look at you're like, yeah, the only person who's in the same category as Lamar in this category is Mahomes. Oh, the only person who's in the same category as him is Mahomes and Lamar. And it's Mahomes and Lamar and Mahomes. And
don't forget Deshaun Watson too was in that category.
And Deshaun, yeah, before that whole situation went down, which is a different conversation. Same thing. But with Lamar, you keep hearing these narratives of nobody wants to play with him because he can't pass. Where do y'all keep getting that from?
Yeah.
Where? First of all, he got the Heisman because of his passing ability. Bro, threw the most yards in the whole goddamn country in college. He gets to the NFL, and everybody seems to forget because they're looking for, bro. Nobody wants Lamar Jackson, who, for all intents and purposes, if you don't know what it means, you don't know, and if you know, you know. Lamar's a nigga. Lamar is not one of these dudes who's run up around private school kids, and he is one of us, right? Mahomes was a baseball. His dad's black, but he's a baseball player. But you know, like he came up with money, and then you get Jalen Hurts, who's a coach's kid. So you have all those people represented in this particular demographic. All of them are good. No matter what situation, you can't have Lamar also be seen the same, because now we're asking, why are we still drafting Peyton Manning archetypes and Tom Brady archetypes? We're not going to go get any of these 3 guys and be instantly good. You're talking about a team that was trash, garbage. Baltimore was trash. That exact same team that Joe Flacco was quarterbacking, they just replaced them with the rookie, and they go to the playoffs. And they say nobody wants to go play there. No wide receiver wants to go there. Could it be because that offense has that team and organization too has had a bad habit of not paying their offensive players, even if they do perform? The thing about that, it's always been a run dominant offense. That's why who was there before Lamar Jackson got there? Please tell me. Nobody. No wide receivers left.
Well, while you're at it, that same situation happened with Kaepernick too.
Exactly. It was the same situation. Even worse with Kaepernick. They replaced their head coach with the coach from like the Euro League, who was the defensive coordinator, never had coached the NFL game in his life. And they're like, I don't understand, why can't Kaepernick go off like he was doing before? It must be his fault. But when you got Mahomes, who got a offense that was like, I mean, Andy Reid was crazy because we saw Andy Reid. I love Andy Reid. He's like, bro, I'm not about to have Mahomes or Vic and pretend like they're not who they are.
Yeah.
Because people forget what he did with Vic.
They were balling out with Deshaun Jackson and Jeremy Maclin.
Bruh, balled out every single time that this man gets a black scrambler. Shit, watch what I do. Because y'all think this is a game. Y'all watch what they. And now you got a situation that what did the Eagles do with their offense? Yeah, Jalen Hurts. They say that he's the strongest person in the whole locker room, and he's a quarterback. And
I believe it.
Like they're like, and he's so. And I love Jalen Hurts because he's humble, but I also like the fact that it isn't just like Jalen Hurts isn't necessarily representative of all the black quarterbacks in the league because, well, one, they were like damn near praying on his downfall. It seemed like, but I like the humble approach. But I also like when people talk they shit. I like Pat Mahomes and Lamar and all these boys. I like that. I liked Cam Newton because that is all of those are us. Y'all didn't give a shit whenever Aaron Rodgers discount double checking, right? You didn't care about that shit. But whenever this man Cam Newton does this, oh, he's so cocky. He's so this. He's so that.
And if Johnny Manziel would have played up to it, they would have loved that too when he was doing all the all that shit. Baker
Mayfield, when he was going off, it was, oh man, look, that boy got he just got it. He did it like, bro. We got the same thing. It took 2 years after setting the record. I think it was like it happened every year after that happened where we had the record starting black quarterbacks. Bro, Geno Smith.
Yeah, balled out there.
Going crazy. And they're like, bro, is Geno Smith the MVP of the league? What the hell? Like, that was a conversation. And Geno keep getting screwed. Teddy Bridgewater keeps getting screwed. Because every team they go to seems to make the playoffs. And with no preparation, no time to build up chemistry with the team, no continuity, bouncing from home to home, apartment to apartment, because you never know which damn team you're going to be on that year. They keep succeeding, and everybody keeps pretending like those two are not franchise quarterbacks.
Well, being in Jacksonville, I remember with Byron Leftwich. Byron Leftwich, they could never give him solid receivers. Never. Byron Leftwich led 3 years in a row, and receivers would drop passes. He's putting the ball on the money, and they're dropping it.
Had the number one drop passer in the league, or wide receiver who dropped pass in the league 2 years in a row. And they're like, man, Lamar can't pass. What? And then the moment he got decent receivers, mind you, both of his receivers are injured most of the time anyway, even without the decent receivers. Dude, this year before that injury, which by the way, I don't think the injury is that serious. They keep saying that they're using it as an excuse. That injury is serious, bro. His mom's not stupid. He's like, why would I put him back out there? Y'all know what he can do, and y'all are not stupid. And when it comes down to it, there is a team that is going to pay him. I don't give a damn, and it might be the Falcons. And don't let Lamar Jackson end up in ATL. Boy, it is gonna be a movie in that bitch. Oh my God, bro! They're gonna have cookouts in the stadium. All right, like it's gonna be crazy. And if he goes there, because that team is straight, that team is damn near ready to go to the Super Bowl right now if they get the right quarterback. And if Lamar Jackson doesn't get paid by Baltimore, it's not because he's a scrambler. I don't give a damn what they will tell you, because if they're still pushing the narrative, oh, you're not as accurate as we would like, that is a lie.
But here's another thing. Even if he is a scrambler, did anybody have a problem when Steve Young was running around all over the place? Let's go back to when NFL started.
Yeah, didn't they? They didn't like it.
Yeah, but everybody still loved it. The fans loved it. Everybody, I mean, the NFL loved it. The owner didn't love it. The coach didn't love it, but
they always love it whenever the Vic's in it. But they use that as an excuse. And it's the
early quarterbacks.
Josh Allen is not as accurate as Lamar Jackson, but somehow they keep talking about, he might be the best quarterback in the NFL. I'm like, why? How? How does Josh Allen and Justin Herbert get to skip the unanimous MVP and Pat Mahomes over Mahomes most times, and Deshaun Watson, who was about to be the MVP before all that shit went down, and even at this point, Jalen Hurts. How do y'all get to skip that because of one dude who finally made the playoffs in Justin Herbert, even though he had a team that could have made the playoffs already 2 years in a row? And then
they
Josh
got a dumbass coach. They got a dumbass head coach.
Inconsistency, bro. He's always had these like MVP. 5-6 games in. Hold up, is Josh Allen still a quarterback in the league? Like that's what happens. Like every time they get this new potential white knight, the white savior of the quarterbacking position, they try to push them over the Mahomes of the world, over the Lamar Jacksons and the Deshaun Watsons. And I'm looking, and it's funny because if you watch football, you're watching Pat Mahomes the whole season. Like, I cannot believe they had the audacity to keep talking about Josh Allen and this thing in the same conversation. Where y'all? It is audacious to do that because we would never, if that was Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes would have had to get 3 Super Bowls in order to pass Josh Allen they still, until he had that little whole vaccine situation, but they still letting Aaron Rodgers ride off of 1 Super Bowl from 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Off of 1. And getting his ass handed to him over and over again in the playoffs, and it being his fault that they lose.
Well, if you look at Skip Bayless, all he does is talk about how he thinks Mahomes is crap.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. Like, I feel like Mahomes is probably one of the most talented, like, football players, like, damn quarterback, like, football players that I've ever seen. Like, I feel like the conversation actually is basically just Mahomes, Lamar, and, okay, I ain't gonna cap. I got to put a boy from the Bengals in there because that dude is crazy. That man is wild with no offensive line, and he just gets busy, and there really ain't much you can do about it. You just gotta hope and pray that their defense sucks that game. Basically, is what that's.
Joe Cool in there.
Joe Cool, bro. Like, but the fact that Burrow, in my opinion, it's impressive to me that Joe Burrow in a league of these talented ass quarterbacks who can pass just as well as him for the most part, but obviously are way faster than he is. And he still managed to find this level of success. Like, that's impressive to me. What I don't find impressive is Josh Allen being he's an above average scrambler. He is not elite.
Yeah.
He does one good breakout run again. Oh my God, I just love it. He's a big body. He just has all these.
That's all it is. He's just big as hell. That's all.
Yeah, he's big as hell. But I'm like, he's not a better quarterback than Lamar is. Give Lamar Diggs. Give Lamar Tyreek Hill. Give him Travis Kelce. Good God, if you give Lamar Travis Kelce, hell, you haven't got to bring wide receivers out on the field. Because it's like that. You give, if you see them work, it's hard to equip their black quarterbacks that their franchises are riding on as they do their white quarterbacks that the franchises are riding on. We would see, I don't know, maybe the results of Pat Mahomes. We know what we would see. What do they call it? The Arrowhead Invitational is what they call it, if I'm not mistaken. Like, yeah. We saw what they did whenever they did have weapons in San Francisco for Colin Kaepernick, and there was good coaching and a good offensive line. The problem is that you see black quarterbacks face the obstacles that the average black person in a professional work environment face on a daily basis. Is we're oftentimes giving less to work with, but asked to do more. Why? Well, because you can do it. Well, if you give me the tools, I could probably do better, right? Yeah, but we don't want to spend as much money. But we know you can do it. We also know if you fail or if this fails, we just blame you.
Well, I mean, you look at what happened, speaking of Black History Month, was it Jackie Robinson? A lot of people focus on Jackie Robinson, not realizing that the Negro Leagues, which, let me put this out there for those who did not know, the Negro Leagues were not only black people.
Yes,
it was black, Latinos, and natives in there because at that time,
I forgot
you all got thrown in as Negro. So,
and also Babe Ruth was black. Sorry, white people. I don't know if y'all know that. Like, if y'all wonder why it was so easy for him, that's what happened. He was light skinned, but he was one of us. I know it hurt some of the people. I tell you, they're like, "What? That's not true. That's not true." They would have never even no, because there were some people, because it was a black and white. It was black and white. Most people were listening on the radio. They weren't going to the games, and there wasn't really a lot of TV back then. Like, they were able to sell Babe because they needed him because of how good he was, and he was on the Yankees. But Babe Ruth played in the Negro League. People don't even know that. And they're like, "That's not true. That's not true." I'm like, bro, why is every time you just drop a basic fact on people like that? I'm telling you, bro, it's like there's circuits get crossed. They can't believe because that's not what I was told.
Well, just like I was covering some stuff. I went on Lucky's channel and we were talking about how a lot of Europe, the original people of Europe were melanated people.
Yes. Yeah.
And when you start going across all of Europe, and I started being able to like when I was doing the research, I was able to prove, okay, wait a minute, you can see where there's migration patterns which are coming from the Caucasus Mountains at this time.
Yeah.
This is when the people start going into this area. You have the Mycenaeans, the Minoans. Yeah, you go to the Etruscans. And how Europe started becoming white was by conquering. The same thing that happened
by conquering
for the Native Americans.
No attention to that shit. They were just trying to stay in their own little bubble. Like they had already a pre-established bubble, weren't trying to overstep. Only thing they're fighting over is like borderline resources. That's it.
Yeah, the same thing that happened to the Native Americans is the same thing that happened to the early Europeans. As those people start coming out of the Caucasus Mountains, they did the same thing. And then after they did that into the Americas, then they came back and start colonizing everything else.
Yeah. The advantage, the one thing, everybody says, well, maybe some people make this argument that colonization isn't inherently a bad thing, and that conquering it shouldn't be seen as inherently a bad thing. I'm like, yeah, but that's because y'all think that y'all were better somehow. But all y'all did was y'all united in a way that no one was expecting you to, and conquer people who were not united. They were united in a sense like they're from the same place, but like they're like, bro, I don't talk to them down the street. I don't talk to Zoe down the street. They like, I do my own thing, they do their thing. We might see each other on the path, but that's about it. We don't have some united military strategy because we respect each other enough to keep our boundaries.
Yeah, like me, Niko, and Chris decided that we were going to go beat up Yipper. Does that mean
without him knowing, by the way? Or in case of Native Americans, like indigenous people were lied to. They were being catered to as allies, having their strategies stolen, having their food stolen, and then white people still had to have the help of disease that they brought from Europe to start wiping them out. Like that's what had to happen in order for them to take what I tell years people to beat the Native Americans.
In order for what we have now, which I say this all the time, I don't care who it pisses off, but we basically live the whole world in a white supremacist world, the whole white supremacist framework. It might not be literally as in framework. Beat you down. It might not be in beat you down or treat you with outright hatred, but it's formed up as, okay, the white professors have the knowledge, the white bankers control everything. And through what we're being shown through movies and imagery is being put through a white lens for the most part.
On purpose, by the way. Like that's the reason for that. And if you dare to challenge the orthodoxy of that, you actually will get punished. Like, okay, so in Marvel, for example, Kevin Feige, one, he isn't Jewish, which is a whole different thing, which I didn't know would be that big of a problem for him, but apparently it was. But also, he has a tendency to put women of color, black men, young people from like Taika Waititi. He's from the Netherlands, but he's like indigenous. Like he'll put those people in charge of these movies that make billions of dollars. They're like, whoa, bro, and he didn't need Disney. Disney bought Marvel because they needed Marvel to save them. People don't really understand. Why do you think that you hear these weird controversies like with Letitia Wright, where they were trying to they were projecting because she won't take the vaccine, they're gonna fire her. There was like Kevin Feige literally came out and said, bro, we ain't making not a damn change in Black Panther's cast. Y'all lost your mind. He said that at the end of the presentation for this particular phase, but specifically targeted people like that. And yet, no matter how many billions they do, they were not getting any awards.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. And if
I'll admit,
32-year-old Krugler and make the best black movie we probably have ever seen, and then do billions of dollars and have everybody like, bro, Black Panther became the most favorited superhero amongst everybody. And the only one that right now apparently that's competing, according to my brother got kids. He's like, bro, the only superhero that's more popular than Black Panther is Spider-Man, but not Tom Holland, Miles Morales. Everybody wants to be Miles Morales now. Go, got white kids get dressed up as Miles Morales for Halloween. I was a recast. I was one of the recasts T'Challa. Not because I didn't want Letitia become Black Panther, because I want the story to play out, and because she becomes Black Panther anyway. All the way out.
I just wanted to play out, and then she was gonna become Black Panther. But I wanted them to recast. I'm not gonna
they weren't gonna do it because I feel like they were just way too close to Chadwick. Like, because you know that Marvel relationships are crazy because it's just, when you've been with, like, bro, it's like a social experiment we probably will never ever see again, where these people have been with each other for 10, 12 years in some cases. And it's like, bro, like, at what point is this not your life? Because you're either doing a movie, you're promoting for a movie, you're in someone else's movie, you're about to go back and start doing another movie, like, as this one character. And but the thing is, I love the way that Marvel deals with and wrestles with identity. I love it, bro. Like, that's what makes it so great. And in fact, I would even make an argument that these old comic book watchers, these white boy gamers, if you will, at Twitch back in the day, like the people that used to primarily be on Twitch, same audience, they thought that they were the ones being targeted. That was never Kevin Feige's goal in reality. So when you have a situation like Black Panther, they are like, that movie's not even that good. You have white people sitting there walking out of Wakanda Forever. I actually believe that Wakanda Forever was better than the first Black Panther. That movie was fucking crazy. Like, it was extremely emotional, as it should have been. It showed
I
that
would have made it more
how
emotional.
white people are trying to steal this resource that Black people and Hispanic people have. All of a sudden, Black people and Hispanic people, the two most powerful nations in the world, are about to go at it. Why? Because we're terrified that white people are going to invade us if we don't.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I love that dynamic of the Black and Indigenous coming together. I love that.
Yeah, I like that I love that they made it. I really thought she was gonna kill Namor. I ain't gonna cap. Like, I really thought she was going to, but I'm glad that she was like, nah, bro, like, we can't do this, and that we do need to work together.
Well, and Namor was smart in the end. He's like, trust me, when they do what they gonna do,
they're going to be attacked, because he's also not stupid, and he's not naive to that. But I love that. And but the way that the MCU positions themselves to deal with and wrestle with the realities of identity, people always will say shit like they're race baiting. Like, no, they're not. This is how, I was like, I don't know if y'all know this, but this is real life. No, this is actually how life happens, right? Like, but I remember, bro, in Civil War, remember whenever Samuel L. Jackson gets pulled over, and he's like, bro, for real? Like, because he had the experience of, even though I'm literally the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., y'all still pull me over because I'm Black. Because at the end of the day, I'm Nick Fury, but I'm still Black. Like,
well, they did that. They did that with whatchamacallit in that new Captain America.
Oh, bruh. Oh man, Falcon.
I had trouble with that. I didn't.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, bro. Oh man, listen. I had to text my friends. I was like, bro, y'all good, man. There was that one episode when they were talking about the Black Captain America and how we literally had to check in on each other, because we were not expecting that in the last episode. Hell, the whole, basically from the second to third episode on, it was like, bro, they just keep doing this. When you have Bucky apologize because he said Cap didn't, nor did I know we did not know what it would mean giving you the shield as a Black man to be Captain America. And he apologized to him for not considering it. And people be mad at Marvel for that. Like, why would you?
Yeah, because you kind of making him look like a coon. Let's just be honest.
Not even making him look like a coon. More so, because that part didn't even start getting addressed until they showed Black Cap. It was like, bro, who's going to accept this? Who's going to accept him as this? They didn't. And like, do I want the pressure of being Black Captain America? Because it doesn't mean the same thing as blonde-haired, blue-eyed Steve Rogers being Captain America. And
there's a lot of woke people, you still got a lot of racists in this country, and a lot of racists with power in this country.
I also love, though, the fact that Cap had zero. He's like, I don't understand why it would be a problem. I love that, because I
love that too. Yeah.
Like, I love that, but I also love the fact that Bucky apologized, because he's like, the fact that Cap didn't know it was a problem is a lot of the reason why these problems continue to exist. Basically, you even had the situation. I love, like, bro, casting Gamora. Casting Zoe Saldana as Gamora literally changes the entire dynamic of the Guardians relationship and how the actors act. And people don't think, bro, have you noticed that the only person Star-Lord does not roast or make fun of is Gamora in all of the movies that they're in? Why? Because I guarantee they probably took lines out, because it's weird for Chris Pratt to try to insult a Black man. Would he even know how to act that? A Black woman, excuse me. And it's also, you have Nebula, who is cast by a white woman. Obviously, they're blue and green, but like, y'all don't realize like that it affects the way people act. With Chris Pratt if he had a white girl cast as love interest, bro, he's an entitled, good-looking white dude. it's going to come out in his acting. It happens. It's just like that's just the way of the world, because that's how they're conditioned. Like, why I'm playing Star-Lord, who's a ladies' man and a player, and da-da-da-da. Of course she likes me. Even in real life, that's probably how he would think. But when it's a black woman, all of a sudden, every interaction, he's like a little boy. He's like, every interaction is humble. He's kind of nervous around her, even when he's not nervous. Like, it affects the way Nebula interacts with her, because now she's chasing effectively a black woman and everything. Like, that's what it's all about. And I was like, yo, if they would have cast, because the girl from Ted 2 was actually supposed to be Gamora, but because I think it was because of her eyes, they wouldn't allow her. They went with Zoe Saldana instead, which is kind of crazy to think about. But like, it's wild how you can. If I didn't know who Gamora was, like if I didn't know Zoe Saldana, I would still know Gamora's black. Why is that? Because you just know. And if I just know that without ever seeing her, how could that not affect the way people act around her, when they're engaging with her? Like, that's what makes the MCU so wonderful, but it's also why they get so much shit from Hollywood. Somebody from the MCU is always in some shit, even when they're minding their own business. They're never getting their just dues except for the money, like, because, money, numbers don't lie in that regard, but they're always being held to a different standard. And every time there's like, whenever they made Taskmaster a woman, Black Widow suck. I was like, why does it suck, bro? Why does it suck? Just go ahead and say it. And you see people kind of deflecting. Just say Taskmaster shouldn't have been a woman. Exactly. Just say you hate women, bro. That's all you have to say. That's all you gotta say. Like, that's it. At least be real about it. But with the storyline, it would have been stupid if Taskmaster wasn't a woman. They were mad when they found out that Loki, they were going to just briefly discuss the fact that Loki is bisexual in the show. They're like, I hate how they're making everything super woke. That's crazy. I thought you were a comic book fan, and if you knew that, you would know Loki is bisexual in the comic books. And they're like, oh, that's not true. No, yes, it is. My bad. Yes, it is. Y'all don't, but that's how white people in the States, at least, are conditioned to look at the world. If it is a part of our history, it can't be true. If we didn't see it in our history books, if we can't believe it, then it must not be true. Because that would mean that that's something I don't know. That would mean that somebody has been lying to me. That what else could they have been lying to me about? Yeah, that's our point. That is literally
our point is they're lying about a lot. And you need to wake the hell up and accept it.
Exactly. If they accept that one thing was a lie, if they accept that they didn't know about this particular fact, where a black, like what I tell people about redlining, bro, their whole world is shit. One, you got racist people who are like, what? That's crazy. What? That can't be still. I'm like, bro, the last case happened like 4 or 5 years ago. The last legitimate case of redlining is just still happening. So there was that. And then you have liberals who are like, well, that's what conservatives will get you. Yeah, that was FDR, bro. That was FDR.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? It's like, yes, because racism ironically, is not discriminated against.
Racism isn't exclusive to a party either. It's not just, it's only the Democrats or only the Republicans.
It looks different, but it's the same outcome, bro. At the end of the day, I gotta get ready to go out here in a couple minutes, though. But yeah,
I got one more that I want to ask you real quick, because when you start talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy, it reminded me about You People.
Oh man, I haven't seen it yet. Is it good?
I had some. It was awkward. It was awkward for me.
Was it supposed to be awkward though?
The Jewish community is all up in arms about this. They're all ticked off. They're said because
do they expose the fact that they're racist sometimes?
Well, they felt like that they're making it look like that some Jewish people are racist, that a lot Jewish of people had a hand in the slave trade, that Jewish people are that plenty of them are often wealthy.
They are. I'm confused.
And
all these things are verifiable facts. I'm just
all of those things that I brought up are the things which I saw the Times of
Israel.
Hey,
shout out to Andrew Schultz for being involved in that thing, because he could have took a hit for that. He might still take one, because I heard he was good in it. I heard too. Like, to be a part of a movie that exposes stuff like that, being Jewish or of Jewish background, Jewish descent, like that's a big deal. I ain't gonna cap.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I felt like, well, wait a minute. Maybe these are people who live in Tel Aviv or something, and that's not the case or something. I don't know. But here in California, that's pretty common to have very wealthy Jewish people. That's kind of
It's common in Tel Aviv also. And
obvious.
if they're wealthy Jewish in Tel Aviv, I guarantee you they're not the Ethiopian Jewish people. I guarantee it because they don't allow it. Why? Because white supremacy is just as alive in the Jewish community as it is in every other community. It's just as alive in Israel. Whenever
in Israel, it's extremely strong.
Bro, whenever the Africans were coming to Israel and they were literally being sterilized against their will, there was no one talking about anti-Semitism. It wasn't anti-Semitic then. But if you talk about how the Israelis are treating Palestinians, if you talk about how they're treating Palestinians, it's anti-Semitic against the people who are oppressing the brown people. Like, it's wild. If you
when Palestinians are Ishmaelites, and they would be Semitic also, but
yeah, but they treat Jewish Palestinians like shit. Like, they don't care.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
really
even Jewish Palestinians you treat like shit
because it's not really about religion. And if you know your history, you would know that.
It's still colonialism,
bro. We got. I mean, we when I lived in New York and I used to date an Israeli, we literally had a phrase because she was a Sephardic, and we had a joke where we said there's a reason they call them Ashkenazi, like because it is like Rothschild Road. Like, why is it called Rothschild Road? Like, Rothschild was part of some struggle, bro. Rothschild helped fund the war that led to the Holocaust. And yet he somehow got his own damn country out of it, right? Like, he helped to fund Nazism alongside J.P. Morgan over here in the States.
And not to mention the royal family.
Yeah, facts. Like, and of course the U.S. government, but we already know how they get down. like the fact that people will try to say, this man Zelensky, he's Jewish. He could never work with Nazis. Well, he's Jewish and he's actively working with Nazis. What the fuck are you talking about? It's verifiable. The U.S. government tried to pass legislation in 2017 over this because they were like, bro, why do we keep funding Nazis?
You heard what he just said. Ironically, he just said something. He just like advocated for preemptive nuclear strike on Russia.
But Russia about to wipe Ukraine off the face of the earth, bro. The fact that they haven't yet is because clearly he caught Putin in a very good mood. Because he could fuck Ukraine up. And to be frank, NATO and the US kind of know at this point they can't really do anything about it. Because if they could win a world war with Russia, they would do it. That's how the US works. If they could propagandize the world into believing they won a world war against Russia, they would do it. Because that's how the US works. But this ain't Germany. We ain't getting all of our news from the damn radio, and that's the only source. And the however many companies that these people control, like. And damn sure, like, Russia has way more allies right now than the Allied powers had during World War I and World War II. If they tried to go G up with Russia and China and Iran, and depending on who's president, Brazil and India and every country in the Middle East who piss you off, and you would need those countries in the Middle East to beat Russia. If y'all don't know how the way the regionality and the demographics work, like, you need those Middle Eastern countries, and you need the bases in those countries. But we lost the bases in Iraq. Like, you're not supposed to be there anymore. Like, bro, we would get our asses handed to us. Yep. Not me, I'll be in Brazil. But whoever is fighting the U.S., the U.S., Europe, who don't even like their own countries anymore because of what the hell they put them through over the last 3 months over this war in Ukraine with the gas and the energy shortage, et cetera, et cetera. Like, they don't even want to. They have recruiting down across the board. Hell, they have recruiting down in police departments because people don't like policing institutions anymore. They don't like the military institutions anymore. They don't trust the governments of Europe. And I have my feelings about China. Probably nothing that people are aware of. Like, my issues with China have to do with the Caribbean and Africa. Like,
same here.
I'm realistic. If China works with Russia, China and Russia will have the advantage. Like, y'all gonna be speaking Mandarin in Russia. That's what I'm telling you. It's what's going to happen. And so if we have to be realistic about, one, why this is allowed to happen. Because in a vacuum, it's like, damn, he's supporting Nazis and the US and Europe are supporting him. The real question is, because it's Ukrainians for the most part are white, and people think that it's about just about how the Jewish community is being affected by that. But it's not just that. It's like, well, hold up. If they're okay with doing it this time, is it possible that they have done this in the past? And is that why our policies kind of look like Nazi policies when you really think about it? Like when you really start breaking down the countries that we do invade, the governments that we do overthrow, the people that are oppressed versus the people who are not oppressed, even in the micro regions of the world, the white people who are giving certain advantages through Europe, the EU, and the US, and the brown people who are oppressing those countries by the demands of the white people and the white governments of the US and Europe. Like when you're looking at Kosovo, for example, like those type of countries, like it's the same thing across the board. It looks like a fucking 50, 60, 70 year blitzkrieg that unfortunately the Nazis won. Because otherwise the first leader of NATO wouldn't have been a Nazi. Like, what are we talking about, bro? Like, we talk about Nazis being funded, Nazis being uplifted, Nazis being protected and given different identities in places like Colombia, in places like Uruguay, Paraguay. Like, y'all don't even know how deep
Argentina
that goes. They talking about Operation Paperclip. Well, we employed those Nazis. We took them from Germany because, you know, we had to do, bro. First of all, you don't know how that works. They were already working for us. That's why the transition was so smooth.
Yep.
That's why. Argentina used to be primarily black. Did you know that, Marcus?
Yep. Yes.
Oh, of course you knew that.
You know, I'm a historian.
People like I didn't cheer for Argentina during the World Cup. I don't like Argentina. I know Argentinians. I don't like Argentinians, bro. You should see the shit they were saying about Mbappe. About Mbappe because he's African French. Like he wasn't putting work by himself with everybody on France injured. Bro, y'all couldn't stop this man. Y'all knew the ball was going directly to him. Y'all still had to foul him just to try to stop him. Like
people don't know, in France, they still go to the matches and throw bananas out there.
At Mbappe, bro. Like that, bro. Part of the reason that Ronaldinho had his damn nervous breakdown was because in Barcelona, he was treated like shit. Even though he was busting everybody's ass and was the most popular. But they saw because he got the first major shoe deal, Ronaldinho did. And they were like, damn, but this isn't going to work in Europe. And we're not going to sell enough of these shoes in the US. So what do we do now? You got to find your next white savior. That's what's going. And so what they do, they started kind of forcing Messi into the lineup, and people don't even see the pattern of
Messi definitely the next backup.
Picks out black people who play his position that he will have to compete with for goals. That's bro. People forgot about Eto'o. Eto'o was literally kicked out of Barcelona in the prime of his career. Ronaldinho had the same situation happen. Neymar goes there. Everybody's like, damn, this should be a Dom squad. They hate each other low key. Like that, bro. How does that happen? Then you go to PSG, bro. Messi and Mbappe didn't even talk to each other during the Argentina-France match. So Messi went back to receive his, you know, they did like a little celebration for him, but a team with PSG for winning the World Cup and shit, bro. Mbappe was in New York, dog. Mbappe was in New York because at the end of the day, people know that like Messi, who's of Italian descent, by the way, wasn't even in Argentina for the majority of his life. He's been in Spain since he was 10. Because he had a disease that if he didn't play soccer, he probably wouldn't be alive. So they invested a lot of money. Barcelona, the most successful team in soccer history, invested a lot of money in this white savior at the end of the day. And that's why you see Cristiano getting slander, that because Portuguese are kind of treated kind of how Brazilians are treated in Central and South America. That's how the Portuguese are treated in Europe. Yeah. It's like the bastard romantic language. Because they have a lot of Arabic and Desis that were there from the whole Portuguese Ottoman Empire beef, whatever.
Because you know, I did a little stint in Rota, right?
Huh?
I did a little stint in Rota.
Really? Damn, bro, you everywhere, man. I ain't gonna know that. I did a stint in Fayetteville, North Carolina, in Strickland.
Yeah, I was in Rota, I was in Italy, I was in Greece, I've been, all kind of places.
My brother had a career like that, man. He loved it, honestly. He don't like the military, but he's like,
well, that's the difference between Army and the Navy. Navy, we get around.
Yeah, man. And if you get around the Army, you're probably going to some places that you ain't gonna necessarily like.
You don't want to go to.
You don't want to go there. It's like cool to say, but when you was there, it probably wasn't all that cool to say.
They're like, we're gonna send you to Chad for this uprising,
bruh. For real, dog. Like my uncle was in Libya for the majority of the 90s, and I never really put two and two together because in Fort Bragg specifically, because I was in Fayetteville. Going to Africa back then was the norm for us, and that wasn't even the norm for the Army. or the U.S. military. But that's where special forces, a lot of Delta Force, not the Rangers. No, actually Rangers too. If they're special force Rangers, like a lot of them deploy out of Fort Bragg. So we were used to people being gone for 3 months to 6 months at a time. There was like deployments was something that I had grown accustomed to at a young age, whereas most people really didn't start getting accustomed to deployments and en masse until the war in Afghanistan and the war in Iraq. Like, and he was going, bro, it's crazy when I go over their crib now. They have Libyan money, rugs with Gaddafi's face on it. Like, I'm like, yo, y'all been doing this shit since the 90s. And the fact that it took y'all so long is hilarious to me. That's crazy that he was holding down one country by his damn self, and y'all were using propaganda, had the CIA there, had special forces there, and overthrew the government of Chad, put in their own guys, sent people from Chad, like terrorists and shit from Chad and in Libya, still couldn't get it done. It took everything in their power to get Gaddafi out. And that also just kind of shows you the waning influence of U.S. hard power, bro. Like it's not what it used to be.
Same did with Castro.
Yeah, exactly. If it was ever what people think it is, that's the next question. If even U.S. hard power was as effective as what people think it is, because World War II was only ended because of Russia.
Oh yeah,
it was only ended because of Russia. World War I, it wasn't started by the U.S. I mean, at least not the bullets weren't fired. The initial bullets weren't fired. It wasn't started by the U.S. It really wasn't even finished by the U.S.
Really,
we lost the Vietnam War.
By Great Britain, really,
right? Yeah, for real. And we worked with the U.S. The whole plan was to get the U.S. to kind of be back into the fold of Great Britain, because Great Britain couldn't be as powerful as they are today without the U.S. basically using their military power and economic influence to do so, because they were, England or the U.K. is kind of like locked, if you will, in their situation and circumstances. Like the U.S. may not have ever been as influential militarily as people think they are. They just have more bases in more places. Now, their special forces and their CIA, that's how they overthrow governments. We rarely go toe-to-toe with another country and win.
Mm-hmm.
We got to do some slick shit. We got to do some backdoor shit. We got to hit people where they think it's not coming. We got to do black ops and stuff like that, because we don't really want to see most countries. Why do you think Iran, after we killed Soleimani, which is insane to me to this day that we did that?
Oh, it's gonna have repercussions still. People think that that's just over. It's not. Yeah, no, that's not over.
Iranians got a very long memory. But when we killed them, when we killed Soleimani, and Iran was like, so here's what we about to fucking do. We're gonna bomb this person or this place, and this place. Luckily for y'all don't have any soldiers there, but we doing it because y'all have weapons there. And if you respond, bet it up. And guess what we did? We took it on the chin, and Trump was like, so you told you they wouldn't do anything. Nah, bitch, they told you y'all wouldn't do shit, and you proved them right. And I'm glad we did. I'm glad Trump at some point thought, can we actually beat Iran? And somebody, the one smart person here, said, boy, sit down and shut the fuck up. Boy, we cannot beat Iran. We couldn't even handle Iraq. And
they're playing a dangerous game right now, though. They play a dangerous game right now.
We are, man. We are. And it's and
well, no, you smart. You in Rio. That's you in the safe zone.
Bro, what? Boy,
any of us in the Western powers?
I'm already pretty much got established residency. I don't know if you're familiar with the CPF, but it's basically the number you have to have. It's like a social security number, if you will. Like
it's like when I was in Italy, the Codice Fiscale.
Yeah. And it's actually kind of hard to get, but your boy finesse something. And so yeah, bro, I'm about to go ahead and buy me a house out there. And like I'm going to be back and forth for the foreseeable future. But it's the world we live in now. I would tell black people, if you can, bro, just go somewhere else if you can help it. Just learn a language. Most times we have translators now, bro. Y'all have phones. Y'all have iPhones. Like y'all have the world looks, it's crazy thinking like, man, 5 or 6 years ago, I don't know if I even would have been able to move to Rio without already, I speak Portuguese, but like, if I didn't know Portuguese to the degree that I do, and I still need my translator because like living in Rio, they speak a whole different brand. It's called Carioca for like, they have a different category for the Portuguese that they speak in Rio. But like, you have translators now. You have the internet now. Like Brazil itself and a lot of these countries in Central South America are way more modernized when it comes to technology now. They're more westernized in that regard. And they're catering to Americans because they know that Americans are tired of fucking America. Bro, you don't have to have a passport to go to Brazil. Or excuse me, not a passport, my apologies, a visa to go to Brazil, in case y'all didn't know. You don't need to work.
I didn't know that.
You did. It's new. It's recent. It's within the last 2-3 years because they need the money from the U.S.
I will take this one question because it's directed straight for you before you get out of here. It says, always enjoy hearing from Niko. Would like to know if Niko plans to return to Rockfin with uncensored commentary anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been in a transition. Like I just said, y'all, moving to Rio. So I've been back and forth. I was also dealing with family stuff. And most of y'all, if you follow me, probably know a little bit about that. So I took a hiatus before I did my move. Just to get my mind right, bro, because if y'all been following me, which a lot of you have, bro, it's been a long, since 2016, 7-8 years. It's been hellacious. It's been fun. It's been great, but your boy suffered from burnout. Like most of y'all know, nobody was out here going harder than me. I'm doing 4-5 videos a day, traveling with the team, with the Combo Couch crew and the MCSC fam. Like research, and it just was a lot. And so in order for me to kind of take a step back to see what we needed in media, in politics, and discourse, I needed to take a step back and figure out how I wanted to, best utilize my talents in that regard. So I have a new podcast coming out called the For the People podcast. It's going to be more long form. I still will do breaking news and stuff like that, and analysis, like short videos and things like that, as like kind of like just part-time, but the majority of my effort is going to be put into this long form conversations. Because I think right now the majority of the country and really the world knows what the hell the problems are, but nobody really talks to each other genuinely. Like it's very rare that you see people like the Joe Rogan conversations and things like that. And of course, even those conversations now, because of how popular those people have gotten, are becoming watered down. And we don't have our Black Joe Rogan yet, man. We don't have that yet. I hope that we can get it soon. It don't have to be me, to be quite frank. But we need one. We need somebody who is not conservative, who is not liberal, who just wants to fucking get through the shit. Like, we just need to get to it. Like, figure out what the problems are. Why are we disagreeing? Why do you feel like this? What's your background versus my background? And if that is influencing how and sometimes you're saying the same thing, but you're using two different languages, even if you're both speaking English. Like, that happens. And you can't do that in a 10-minute conversation or a 15-minute conversation. You have to be able to flesh out these issues over long form combos with another person or even with two people. And it's going to get dirty. It's going to be fun. It's going to be enlightening. We're going to get obviously stay with politics, but talk about pop culture influence there, music and movie industry influence in that regard, things that like normally I probably wouldn't discuss on my show, but now because we know politics has kind of incepted its way into everything. Like, not that it hasn't before, but it's almost like normal now to consider politics in everything that you're doing as far as PR is concerned when it comes to the media. And because of that, we have to take the show in a different direction so that people understand, like, yeah, you like this show, or you don't like this show, or you like this music, you don't like this music, or this person's making this statement, but you don't know their past and who pays them, which is a big deal. Like, more of the agencies people belong to, even. It's a big deal. Shit like that. So that people can see the patterns. I'm on the spectrum, bro. Like, everybody, if you don't know me, I'm on the spectrum. I have ADHD, but I'm on the spectrum. And the thing that I identify more than anything else that's helped me become so good at what I do is patterns. Because, like, if you see a pattern, bro, if you just look at it, it'll tell you all the answers. You don't have to start guessing. And, well, what if? Well, these scenarios, like, bro, I didn't have to. Why do y'all think I was so clear about not voting for Joe Biden? It was pretty fucking easy. I'm not going to ignore the pattern. You know what I'm saying? Like, whenever people get mad,
it was a 50-year pattern.
Yeah, people got mad at me for not supporting, like, for not supporting Bernie Sanders over like Tulsi for it. I'm like, bro, but there's this pattern that I've witnessed now. Like, I can't pretend like the pattern isn't there. And people pretend like the pattern wasn't there. And when he broke their fucking hearts, and when AOC broke their hearts, they're like, I can't believe we didn't see this coming. I said, bro, it was right there. I literally put the sources there. I put the times. I put the dates. I did it. I cookie cutter, bro. I put it right there. But, that's how it goes. So now we have to start getting into how everything is interconnected. Like, if we're going to start solving problems, because the problems are not going to be solved until there's a urgency there, and the urgency isn't going to be there until people start talking off camera and having the right conversations. And those conversations are generally influenced by the Joe Rogans of the world, the Drake Champs. If you watch, if you're in a hip hop podcast and things like that, Gilly the Kid and his boy, like those are the people influencing these conversations. Even Jay Will and all of them, like the Pivot, when they had Jay Will on, they just had a wild boy. The boy from that got drafted #1 overall, and then they try to the fuck his career up. The host of Bus Life, you know what I'm talking about. Good God,
I know Chris. Chris, give us his name. I know Chris. No,
bruh, it's crazy. I always forget because I'm bad with names. But
let me check the Rock fan. Somebody over there. Oh, and shout out to Steve. I see Steve over there. Shout out to Bad Andy, Denver. I completely got going. Gregory, thank you for the
he was the one who put out that, like, he's like, y'all that
Gregory said Marcus for Black Joe Rogan. Hey.
Hey, I'm down with that.
Hey, and you already know Niko is definitely gonna be one of the guests that you will see regularly on there.
It'd be lit, man. But this former basketball player who ended up on Washington Wizards when he was first drafted, basically he was the last guy drafted straight out of high school. And part of the reason why was because Stephen A. Smith was going around to high schools and college. This is how Stephen A. blew up. He went around to high school and colleges talking about he's trash this, he's a bust, he's this, he's that. But it was an 18-year-old kid. But everybody thought it was about him. What it was really about was the NCAA was losing money, and the NCAA and the NBA have always been in cahoots. And they lost LeBron. They lost Dwight Howard. They lost J.R. Smith. Even like you talking about Steven Jackson and all these different guys who are skipped. Yeah, every now and then you get, Sean Bradley's. But most of the time, a lot of the times, you were getting these stars who became super duper stars. And the NCAA wasn't getting their cut. And ESPN, who has a lot of NCAA games, were not getting their money. And nobody wanted to watch, because if I'm not watching LeBron's and those type of dudes, why would I watch the NCAA? So what do? Go ahead and make this guy a poster child, make it seem like everybody from high school who comes out is trash. And that's what they did. And then they got rid of that. Then they became the one and done rule. So you could at least get that 1 year out of the Zion Williamsons of the world. And now they're kind of like revamped. Like, why do we ever do? Now they're like, why do we ever do this again? Because that's how strong propaganda is. And
we get those people who are at the top. They have a certain way in their head, and people don't realize there's so much of a monopoly on how things are controlled by handfuls of individuals that even if you say, well, I don't think this way, or I don't believe this, it doesn't matter what you or I or any of these other people think. As long as you got a Daniel Snyder, for instance, with Washington, things. That one person has so much influence over thousands of people's lives.
That whole league is scared. They're like, bruh. Daniel Snyder said, oh, word bet. Jerry Jones, how about a little picture I found? You forgot I had that shit, huh? And they was like, right, huh? What? I don't want you to get out. What are you talking about, bro? We cool, we fine. Like, but Daniel Snyder, because of the information he has, knows something that the rest of the world is not willing to admit. All these owners are fucking racist. And that's why they want to jump on him. It was full gun, full speed ahead on Daniels and getting Daniel Snyder out of that ownership group in Washington. And then he said, you do what I got information on all y'all. And everybody stopped.
Well, and here's the thing about it. Actually, Jerry Jones is probably least racist than the ones who ratted him out. Except the ones who ratted him out, they got their shit protected, we'll say that. And a certain group that starts with an M that has 2 S's and a D at the end is helping control a lot of different things. I'm just saying,
Yeah, bro.
Look up the nationality of the owners of most of the NFL, NBA, and Major League Sports in general, and you'll know.
Yeah, bro. Like that is the reality that we're living in. And if you're not looking at every single major story, every single major narrative through that lens, then you're going to get your take is wrong. Like even with the Deshaun Watson take, what they don't talk about is why Deshaun Watson was originally going to leave the Texans, because they were fucking racist. They don't talk about why J.J. Watt left the Texans and apologized to Deshaun Watson for what they were putting him through, because they were racist. And that when he challenged them, all of a sudden you have all these massage therapists come out of nowhere, and one of them apologized to Deshaun Watson for actually touching him inappropriately, which is hilarious. But all of a sudden that all comes out, and what doesn't come out is the fact that the Texans hired all of them. The Texans hired all of them, but it was Deshaun. It was like they went on a media blitzkrieg of Deshaun Watson's character. They only talked about one side of the case and never talked about all the times he was exonerated in those cases. They just keep. They said he has
just the fact of how
getting massages this often. I'm like, he's a fucking quarterback, a scrambling quarterback in the NFL. How are you not getting massages every week?
What about Robert Kraft? How his stuff just got all just. Let's just not talk about this at all. Just,
bro, that was fast. That was fast. Or Peyton Manning with steroids.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's like acting like we didn't have that happen, like that didn't, bro.
Or how they can ride Kyrie Irving and go all over about about the vaccination and then about the whole Hebrew Israelite stuff. But then we're not talking about Brett Favre at all.
Still, to this day, like they talked about it and bro, what was crazy is how like I want to say like Jay Will and a couple other people were like, "Hey man, I know that we were supposed to talk, but yo, why the hell are we talking about Brett Favre?" Like he literally interrupted. Jay Will got punished actually for a lot of shit that he's been saying because they moved him and Keyshawn and Max's show to ESPN2, and then it's not even on there for the full show. It goes to ESPNU at 8. He talks about how he was punished on his podcast, the podcast, The Pivot. And I'm like, bro, he knows why he was punished. And people forget when he went on that show and talked, and remember he challenged Stephen A. Smith. He said, "You got all this energy for Kyrie, but when Aaron Rodgers came out and he lied about whatever, why is it a different energy, bro?" And Stephen A. kind of like lost his shit because I don't know if he realized he was doing it, but that also shows you just how much influence and how much that white money has on his opinion. And now he doesn't even realize it because he did not have that same energy for Aaron Rodgers as he did with Kyrie. He didn't have that same energy for any of the white quarterbacks or white players in the league that were refusing to get the vaccine.
Yep.
Like that's what was crazy. And nor did he have that same energy, weirdly enough, for all the NBA players, because there was a lot that didn't get the vaccine. A lot.
I swear that when I bring you back, this one's gonna have to be all rock fin. It's because we gotta talk full. I'm not worried. I'm not tripping. You good. I do not worry about it at all with them. But that way I can be like, let it all hang all the way out. Because then I won't be as guarded either.
Yeah. Let me get up out of here.
And trust me, y'all, I'm not gonna take so long to get Niko back on here. We're gonna get him back on here real quick, fast, and in a hurry, as they say. But yes, brother, it was definitely such a pleasure to have you back on here. So let them know when can they expect this stuff to be going on. When you're gonna start getting everything going, and every place where everybody can find you. Because I don't know if everybody know that you're doing stuff on TikTok and you have this going and you're doing that, and next thing you know you're on RT for a moment, and I don't think everybody know all this stuff you got going on.
Yeah, I'm still busy. Although I don't have the podcast yet, but like it's obviously I'm on TikTok, just the real Niko House. I'm on Instagram, still real Niko House. I'm on still on Twitter, obviously, Rockfan, YouTube. My podcast will be on all those platforms, and the show will be. I'm trying to actually get it started roughly around the last week of February. That's the goal, and I was supposed to get started at the beginning of February, but I just had to deal with drama, life stuff. You know how that goes. But the end of February is the goal. Super excited about it. And hopefully, like a lot of people, it's funny because the people used to complain. I used to do like these 2-hour long podcasts on YouTube, and people say that's too long. That's all anybody ever does. It's just wild how that works out. So like, I don't know what y'all don't be talking about these super complex and intricate issues in 10 minutes. That's ridiculous. Yeah. That's why people are stupid as it is. But
you're damn right.
But now people are ready to have these conversations. And I'm ready to go back to doing that. And don't worry, I miss y'all. Honestly, genuinely, I miss y'all just as much as you miss me, and everybody who's been reaching out to me via DMs, on social media. Like I see all of it, and I was literally just telling my wife the other day, like, yo, man, I do miss everybody. I miss the interactions. I miss the conversations with people in the chats and stuff like that. But your boy had to take a step back. I was tired, bro. I was tired. I was exhausted, just in a lot of ways, not even to do with politics. And now I'm kind of re-energized and regrouped to bring the pain. as it were.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what I want to hear. And
Already.
definitely always give your best to your wife for me. Always appreciate having you on.
For sure, for sure. Appreciate you,
All
man.
right, y'all. This has been Thinking with Young Morpheus. So glad that I had Niko on. Shout out, I see you over there, Copeland Morris. He said he caught a little bit at the end, and everybody else who came in. Don't worry, this is not going to be the last time. We got some stuff that we're going to be working out. So that said, Thinking with Young Morpheus. Glad y'all joined. Make sure y'all have a good weekend. Oh yeah, catch me later on. I'll be on with Lucky Burrito. We're gonna be talking. What is it with Oz Whistle talking about communism? So it'll be an interesting conversation.